And welcoming remarks this afternoon is this distinguished gentleman, Mr. Raymond Surridge Valley. Let us welcome him.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure to welcome each and every one of you here tonight on behalf of our Member of Parliament for Oropuchis, Dr. Rudal Munilal. We welcome you to one of the fortresses of the United National Congress in Aldebe, and more specifically to the home of the formidable and fearless Lion himself, Oropuchis. We are thankful for this opportunity of returning to the Pavement Report, where we're going to account to you again of some of the things that we are having in this country that is posing a great difficulty on the lives and the quality of life of our citizens. We are very thankful for the honorable political leader for all these initiatives that we have embarked on, our press conferences, our posting through various social media platforms, and very soon the return of the Monday Night Forum, and today the restart of the Pavement Report, whereby we will be accounting to the people, not only in terms of what this government ought to be doing and they are not doing, but what the United National Congress government will do if given the opportunity to form the next government. So on behalf of our honorable MP, we welcome all of you. We have a battery of powerful speakers here tonight who will be speaking on various issues affecting us, affecting the national community, and outlining some of the policies and plans that we could embark on to take this country forward. So it's a pleasure once again to welcome you to Oropuchis. Thank you very much.
Oropuchis, how you feeling? Good. Sounding good. We warm tonight. Mine is
to ensure that we are doing the correct thing. That is the role of the opposition. One of the other solutions, of course, many of you may have received a mail from the Evaluations Division in your postbox. It relates to property tax. That is their financial solution to everything that is wrong in our economy in Trinidad and Tobago, because they don't know how to develop and grow our economy and our country. Something that I noticed that wasn't spoken about or mentioned, and persons may not know this in the local government reform, is the rental allowance that a councillor is allotted for an office space. Did you know that it's $2,500 for an office space? Let me say that again. $2,500 in 2023 for commercial office space, for a councillor's office. Are we living in 2023 or 2000? Come on. What commercial property can you get for rent for $2,500? And of course, the punching bag for Trinidad and Tobago. The councillors face pressure from the residents and you, the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, to ensure that we have an appropriately located office that is easily accessible to you. But $2,500 can't get you much. Of course, this reflects the ministers who sit in Parliament and come up with the policies, those in government, who are not aware of what it takes to be on the ground and to represent you, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, and the actual cost of living in our country. Whilst ministers are collecting billions in rents, billions in rent, I want to ask, will Minister Alwari or Minister Imbert rent one of their commercial property for $2,500? You think they will rent that for $2,500 in Port of Spain? No, brothers and sisters, they wouldn't. And of course, the creme de la creme with local government reform. Council's office staff receive a stipend of $3,000 to date. Minister of Finance will have announced that the minimum wage would be increased in January from $17.50 to $19.50 per hour, which is approximately $3,120 per month. Now, this is effective in January 2024. And why am I bringing this to your attention? Because I want you to pay very close attention to this detail. Come January 2024, I'm waiting to see if the minister will ensure that councillors' office staff are receiving at least minimum wage. Otherwise, they would be breaching the law that they themselves had put into place in Trinidad and Tobago. Another topic, my second topic for this evening, of course, is one that everyone in Penal DB, Trinidad and Tobago facing this issue, but of course, Penal DB is highly affected by this, is the ongoing and continuous water issue. This residents in Penal DB are severely affected. Take for instance, Lathrose Road, Penal, Clark Road, Penal, Rock Road, Penal, Woodland. Some of these areas are flooded every year. Imagine this, residents have water in the road and yet they cannot get water in their taps. I know people think places like Palmis Hermitage aren't affected or wouldn't be affected by water issues. No, brothers and sisters, I can assure you, my residents in Bryans Gate, Philippine, on Beckle Street, Esperance, just to name a few, are affected by no, and I mean no, water supply for approximately 3 months. And of course, when you bring this to the attention of certain liaison officers and WASAs, they tell you that's not true. And they give you schedules that don't materialize when you speak to residents. They don't get waters in the taps. And it's a constant back and forth. These are paying WASA customers, Trinidad and Tobago, paying WASA customers who have to resort on a weekly basis and monthly basis to resort, for those who can't afford to, purchase truck-borne water. And of course, we know getting a supply of this so-called free truck-borne water from WASA is like winning the lottery. While the ministers continue to lie on public platforms and in Parliament about rate increase, saying no, we're not going to increase the utility bills for TNTech, and of course, soon you would see that WASA wants to increase their utility rates. They continue to do this. But I want to remind Minister Marvin Gonzalez, the Minister of Public Utilities, of your mandate, in case you've forgotten. And residents, Trinidad and Tobago citizens, you can check it. It's on their website. And I'm quoting them. The mandate of the Ministry of Public Utilities is to provide effective and efficient leadership and government in the delivery of public utilities services to the citizenry of Trinidad and Tobago. Do you think the minister and the ministry is doing that, brothers and sisters? Trinidad and Tobago, are you getting an adequate supply of water? Are you experiencing issues with TMTech, and yet they want to increase your utility bill? Come on now, man. This is ridiculous. There's an increase in persons to the grid that are requiring water from WASA. We are seeing droughts, longer dry seasons, severe rainfall in shorter time, which leads to flooding. Of course, this contributes to climate change. And these are not today issues. I want to remind Trinidad and Tobago, this is not an issue that started in the beginning of 2023. No, this government has been there since, sadly to say, since 2015. And this has been a continuous issue since then. And they have yet to do anything to address these issues. And in case the minister isn't aware, climate change is real and it is impacting Trinidad and Tobago very severely. And I would like him to refer to the Ministry of Planning and Development because they have quite a detailed breakdown as to what we're experiencing and what is the plan to, adapt to climate change in Trinidad and Tobago. And we need to stop functioning in silos. The ministries and the ministers function in silos. Just because the Ministry of Planning and Development is responsible for combating climate change, it doesn't mean that the minister or the Ministry of Public Utilities shouldn't be in communications with them. It affects you as well in supplying water as well as electricity to residents and citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. Something that I noticed recently, I mean it's continuously happening, but of course, we're living in 2023 and we're still cutting ribbons to open standpipes. In 2023, we're cutting ribbons to open standpipes, and this is their development and their vision for Trinidad and Tobago. The minister has been appointed since 2020. His portfolio is the Ministry of Public Utilities, not crime. And the reason I'm saying that is because I heard the minister recently say he asked to raise in Parliament, and he said that the opposition, he's waiting for the opposition to respond with regards to the crime talks. Now I understand that you have an experience and a passion for law and your appointment as a member of the Anti-Law, Anti-Crime Talks Committee, National Security, in the government's side, of course. But you're claiming that the opposition has not yet responded to anti-crime talks, whereas Dr. Munal would have highlighted. The chairman of the National Security Council and Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago is flying out to Saudi Arabia. Is there a national crisis in Saudi Arabia? Do we have a national security issue in Saudi Arabia that we are not aware of? No, we don't have one. So my counter proposal to you, Minister Gonzalez, is if you want to deal with crime, the water issue that we are facing, that is a crime. So I invite you to leave your ribbons in your office and come down to Penal Day Bay, where we have pipes. We don't need standpipe. We have pipes. We just have pipe without water. Address that issue first before you start to talk about crime. Thank you.
Excellent presentation by our young councillor Raven Ramsarak. Let's hear it for him again one more time, brothers and sisters. Clearly demonstrating the United National Congress, our pulses on the heartbeat of what the people is thinking. And Councillor Ramsarak had the broad spectrum of everything that is affecting us. But I'll tell you, the reform that we're looking forward to is not the local government reform. The reform we're looking to is to reform the parliament and return the United National Congress to government. That is when Trinidad and Tobago will prosper, my brothers and sisters. It is my pleasure at this time to introduce another new councillor to the Penal-Dame Regional Corporation. Councillor Pereira, he holds a bachelor's degree in criminology and public safety. He's currently pursuing a master's degree in cybersecurity, a humble, hard-working representative who's a fighter in defense of the working man. Let us welcome my colleague, Councillor Gerard Pereira.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon to the Honorable Leader of the Opposition and our Leader of the United National Congress, the Honorable Kamala Persad-Bissessar, the Honorable Dr. Rudolph Munilal, Member of Parliament for Oropouche East, better known as the Lion, the Honorable Mr. Devendrad Tanku, Member for Parliament for Oropouche West, Member for Couva North, I believe, Mr. Ravi Ratiram, Honorable MP, colleagues, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It is indeed my pleasure to be here tonight to speak on a topic that is across all of our hearts, and I'm sure it's burning in all our souls: crime. Crime in our country is at an alarming proportion in Trinidad and Tobago. We know that. Murders are now at 500 officially. That has been raised by our Honorable MP, Dr. Rudolph Munilal. This government, this PNM government, has done nothing in the 8 years to assist, to mitigate, to alleviate crime. But interestingly enough, we must understand that every time the PNM government is in power, crime increase. And we must wonder why. Why does crime increase under the People's National Movement? Well, let me give you some salient points as it's happening now. One, unemployment. There's an old saying that the very old wise people would say, "An hungry man is an angry man." And if you can't have food to fill your belly, to put on your table to see about your children, what will you do? That's one. Two, when we consider that they say most criminals are uneducated, we have to understand what has happened. Let me explain. In 2010, our Honorable Leader, Kamala Persad-Bissessar, then Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, would have made available to this country gate and numerous grants so that persons interested in educating themselves to get out of poverty could educate themselves. This PNM government, this present PNM government, saw it fit to take that back. But not only that, the Prime Minister understand that we are heading into a digital age, would have recognized the need to empower our young people with laptops so that they can understand technology. That too they take back. So you see where crime coming from. If you don't have food, that is one of the reasons. If you don't have money in your pocket because you have no employment, that is another reason. If you're not educated, then you can't get a job. The government has done nothing to increase those things. But more so ever, we must look at how the world sees Trinidad and Tobago. As of today, mid-year, according to a website that would have stated our number, the rating of Trinidad and Tobago crime rate is 7th in the world, beating out many countries across the globe. I mean, a population of 1.45 and 7. What we have in here? We have a war zone. But what is the government doing about that? They're doing nothing. They're doing nothing. They're not helping the police. In fact, they're trying to control the police. And we see that. in the form of who they pick to head the police service. I make no more comments on that. We see that. We also see that crime has affected our people. Our people are living in virtual prisons in their home, fearing for their lives every single day. Imagine, you can't even go in front of a police station and stand up. They're taking you there too. Yeah. Imagine that. Criminals have no fear. And of course, the government will tell you, well, what we could do, you know, crime, all are we responsible. But here's the funny thing, our borders are open because the government refuses to buy the necessary equipment and to get the necessary personnel and expertise to do what is right to protect our borders. So where the guns coming from? They say south, Venezuela. That is where it's coming from, right? But we are Coast Guard. But we don't have manpower and the equipment for the Coast Guard to patrol properly. How that happening? Nothing could be done. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, do you feel safe where you are? No. I will tell you this too, because in closing I will tell you this. Come 2025, ensure you dip your finger, stain your finger, put it on your calendar, and say, it is time, we are ready to make this change. Because if you don't, according to the late PNM leader Patrick Manning, crap who smoke we pipe. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, he has served in the national youth arm of our great party for over a decade. Recently appointed as alderman in the Pinal-Debe region. Tonight, put your hands together for and welcome Pagu, Alderman Avinash Pagu, to this podium. Holy boy Pagu.
Thank you, Chairman.
I just call him Pagu.
Thank you, Chairman. Political Leader of United National Congress, the Honorable Kamala Prasad Bisesta, SC, all members of Parliament in attendance, my fellow Pinal-Debe Council colleagues, and the people of Pinal-Debe. Today, we are faced with many challenges under the PNM government that presently controls this country. They refuse to provide basic needs and refuse to provide basic infrastructure for us. With a show of hands, how many of you would have run into potholes and deplorable roads to get to and from work today? Everybody. Exactly. When it is you specifically visit Pinal-Debe, you feel as if you're in a war zone with the incomplete infrastructure of abandoned buildings, incomplete bridges, and I don't even want to get started in the incomplete highway that is probably patrolled by a few cows in Debe today. I want to know if this is the same prosperous country of 2014 where everybody had high hopes and dreams. The People's Partnership Government started a very important infrastructure for the country, the Solomon Hochoy Highway Extension Project. They had specifically designed it to help connect all major towns in the southern peninsula of Trinidad and Tobago. But today, the PNM has made alteration and bypassed certain major towns. Today, these major towns such as Pinal, Siparia, and Faizabad are all bypassed. What should have taken a 15 minutes drive from Pinal to drive to Point Fortin now takes roughly 45 minutes to an hour. Why is it that we as a people have to suffer and deal with these consequences? I would like to say the Minister of Works and Transport is a complete failure. Why is it you are dragging your feet? You have been in government for over 7 years and you cannot complete a simple short highway. I cannot understand why it is they refuse to complete this national infrastructure. This highway would not only encourage economic development in the country, but it would also improve the standard of living throughout the country. Because I can tell you, Pinal-Dede faces a serious problem of flooding, and we become completely isolated when rain falls heavily, and nobody can get out of their homes to leave and go anywhere else to work. But this highway was specifically designed to solve that flooding issue where it was guaranteed to not flood, and it would have helped Pinal-Dede remain connected to the rest of the country if in the event of a flooding incident.
Yeah.
When it is we drive on the roads throughout our region, I cannot remember offhand when last the road was perfectly smooth. If it is, I have to think really, really hard. I would say like in 2013 and 1998 were probably the last times our major roads were properly paved in Pinal-Dede. So that's over 10 years our main roads have been dilapidated. What it is the minister is doing at the ministry? Is it that he needs to buy a pitch lake from somewhere else in the world to be able to provide us with the proper asphalt to pave it? I would just like to say, we have to say we're very lucky, Dr. Munilal, that we will be able to find a pavement here to have this pavement report here in Dede. The majority of Pinal-Dede, I can say, we do not have the luxury of footpaths and pavements. Many of the residents in the area needs to walk on the side of the street and endanger themselves. I can tell you, like approximately 1 year ago, a person was actually knocked down from avoiding the high grass on the side of the road because the grass wasn't cut and there's no footpath, so they end up losing their lives because the basic infrastructure of a footpath was non-existent. Another major infrastructural problem that we suffer from Pinal-Dede is the lack of funds to complete existing projects and the refusal to even start new projects in our region. The Ramai Trace Hindu School is a perfect example, together with the Shiva Boys and Parvati Girls Colleges. Those are all examples of the PNM's geographical discrimination for the region. You can tell me why it is a school has been closed and they're dragging their feet to complete or even start construction, and some children have entered first year, graduated from the school, and started secondary school and have never stepped foot in their primary school because it apparently takes more than 7 years to actually build a school in Trinidad. They have deprived those children of right of a comfortable school and easy access to education, sometimes taking up to half an hour for them to get to school. That's the fate of many of the Ramai Trace Hindu school students. In 2015 to 2022, the PNM has spent close to $370 billion, and I haven't seen what it is they have actually done with spending that money. It's definitely not in our schools. It's definitely not on our roads. It's probably in lavish golf courses that only selected people like to go to. I will tell you this. The PNM is a complete failure, and the UNC has done a lot in the short 5 years we spent in government, and we will get back in power and solve many of the issues that we face here in Trinidad and Tobago. The sun will rise again. I thank you.
Let's hear it again for Alderman Avinash Fagu. And thank you, Alderman, for reminding us that in 2010 to 2015, we saw a period of infrastructural development in Trinidad and Tobago. And for the last 8 years, we have seen infrastructural neglect in Trinidad and Tobago. But there's hope, brothers and sisters. In 2025, that infrastructural development will begin again under United National Congress government. And as we begin the march to government, on the pavement and on the reports that we present to you, let me remind you that you can join us on our social media platform. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/UNCOfficialYT and follow us on Facebook.com UNCOfficialFB. Brothers and sisters, at this juncture, it is my pleasure to introduce a colleague of mine at Council, our next speaker. He holds a bachelor's degree in business administration. He's an executive professional in the financial industry in Trinidad and Tobago. The chairman of our Disaster Management and Security Committee at the Penal Debe Regional Corporation. Let us welcome my brothers and sisters, Councillor Kibrad Sunil Chicharan.
My UNC family. My UNC family. Yeah. They be south. Yeah. They're inside. They're inside. All protocols observed. I know my colleagues have did a good job with that. So I just want to start with a little story. And I want to put on my disclaimer. I got this story. I don't want to say my mailbox because I guess it's in my inbox. So this story I got this morning, I don't know the people in the story. I don't know if it's anybody that we know or if it's anybody that you all know. The story was a short one. It was from a professor. He said he went to a cabinet retreat. He said after the first day in the cabinet retreat, he realized everybody in this cabinet lazy. So he got home and he thought about it and he come back the second day of the retreat. And he said, you know what? I'm going to motivate them. I didn't break this out of them. He said, I'm giving a grand prize for the most laziest person in this cabinet. Everybody except one of them put up their hand. So watching the story, he went on to say the only person who had put up their hand was the minister of local government. So I feel like nice, I said, all right, well, I'm a minister. He probably a lazy. So the professor, he get excited. He say, well, them excited already to be lazy. Let me go and talk to the one who didn't put up his hand to be lazy. He say, well, you know, I noticed you didn't put up your hand. So, you know what I could do to tell me why you didn't put up your hand? He said, boy, I was too lazy to put up my hand, yes? But I'm not here to talk to you about lazy people today. I'll talk to you about hardworking people. And the 14 members of council at the Penal Debe region, hardworking people. And I started with my chairman. 5 o'clock in the morning, my phone will start to ring. Where the equipment go in, where the material go in, where you have to clean, where you have to do what. From 5 o'clock in the morning, he's on the ground. And every single one of my members of council on the ground doing what they have to do. That's hardworking people. And if we could have some people who sitting in this government as hardworking as that, we'd have probably been 2033 already. But we had to survive and we had to suffer, as they say it, because geographical discrimination is a real thing. And you know, the first thing I want to touch on, my other colleague asked me, he said, you know, Councillor raised this point for me. Geographical discrimination is so real in Trinidad and it's so real in South that, you know, I don't want to use this S word, I think another word for it might be fecal matter, something like that is called it. As a corporation, you have to go, part of the services you go, you clean septic tanks and so forth. Do you know that we cannot offload our septic effluent in South? We have to go to, what is Beta? Up Portersville. So when these trucks, these 2 trucks that we have at Penal Levy, have to go to these households, these people come and say, hey, you know, but talk need cleaning and all of that. There's no place in South because this government shut it down. Because it had one in San Fernando, they shut it down. And now this truck have to leave and go to Port of Spain to offload. So when they could have make 3 trips for the day and probably deal with 10 households, now we could only deal with 3. That is discrimination. That might be a real fecal matter situation. That is one of simple things as cleaning cesspits is a problem for our region. Because the minister decided that, you know what, Penal Levy people, we are not folks too. We don't matter. I want to touch a little bit about recreation grounds. Recreation grounds in Penal Levy. Well, first of all, I want to say, I don't see no sporting kind of thing where the minister just come and open ribbon and has sporting activities and things for South. I never see that in the South area. Not at all. Not at all. I hear have other things, swimming pool and things in some parts of this country. Not in South. And the people who not in South, come and I'm going to show you how we do have none. You know how bad things in South? I oversee that Davis South area. They don't even have a community center in Davis South. That is how sad it is. Shame is right. But remember, it might be the lazy cabinet, so we don't know. What I want to say though is, I saw in the budget this year that they allocated $1 million for all the corporations, whether it was a borough, a city, whatever, for recreation grounds. But if everybody getting the same thing, then that's $14 million. Is it that the government is saying $14 million is all that they need to spend on recreation grounds in Trinidad and Tobago for 1.4 million people? But you know, I kind of do a little research, and then they just give the sports company some extra money. And they just give this other little side-by company the extra money. But you know what? We have a minister of local government. He came last year when he took office. And he come and he say, he dress up nice and he put on, well, I don't know if he's put on the muscles or whatever he does do. And he said, you know, this is what I want to do. I want to do X, Y, and Z. And you know I can say it up front because I went with him. I said, the minister came, this is what has to happen. Let me show him what has to happen. And he promised sun, moon, earth, Jupiter, Venus, all of them he promised. And he never came back. Chocolate is it? Well, no, he didn't. He never came back. All the roads that he promised to cut, he cut. He promised we'll get CPEP. And once again, this area where Portuguese improvement has the least amount of CPEP teams in the whole country. He promised recreational facilities to upgrade. Nothing. He promised heritage sites to upgrade. Nothing. He promised tourism sites. Nothing. But, you know, he didn't put up his hand too. Anyway, I don't know if that's the element to say that. So. But these are the things that we face here in this region of Penal Levy. We face neglect, we face discrimination, but we have a resilient people. Because our people, we come out every day. Whether they are village group or sports group, they throw a sport in competition, they do something for the youth, they do something for the elderly. Even if it's a corridor or all first competition, we build camaraderie. We are resilient people and we will make it. We will make it. I want to touch on one more thing before my time expires, and that is what we asked for in the budget for land slips in the region of Penal Levy. And I'm only touching on this because we asked for $10 million for land slip. Because you know what? And I will tell you what's the problem. Goodman Trace, Sanahi Trace, Tinpan Alley, Bronte, Lengua, Wilson Road, Clark Road, Bodnaf, Ramlal Street, Congo Village, Diamond Village, Papori Road, Barapo, Sunny Road, Mendes, Woodland, Ramai Trace, Kuchawan, Mon Diablo, Dove Trace, Muruk Media, Sanahi, Pati Ramlal, Bihari, Old Clark Road, Sumani, Gandhi, Ramlal, and Solomon Knox Road all have land slips. All. And you know how much money they gave us to fix land slips? Zero. And this is the caring government. This is the caring government that decides that, you know, we have fairness and equality. But guess what? We don't matter. We in Penal Debe, we clearly don't matter. We in South clearly don't matter. So Minister, I guess you'll eventually listen to it when you have some time or so forth. But remember the people that you came down last year to South? We still here. We still waiting.
Make sure you come here.
Well, wherever they do. Do better. We are just here to tell you do better. But, as I said before, we are resilient people. And as our leader said, united we stand, together we can, and the sun will rise.
Yes. She is a veteran councillor who serves the electoral district of Penal, currently serving in our great party as our South Regional Coordinator. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight, here on the pavement in Oropuch East, let us welcome in true Shanti Brigade style, Councillor Shanti Budram.
Thank you, Councillor Mohini. Thank you. Shanti Brigade is here in the house. I want to firstly thank all my councillor colleagues and aldermen. Put your hands together for the vibrant new councillors and aldermen in the Penal Debe Regional Corporation. Political leader of the UNC and leader of the opposition, the Honorable Kamala Prasad Bisessa, SC, members of the National Executive of our great party, members of Parliament. Put your hands together and let's hear it for the roaring lion himself, Dr. Rudal Munilal, Member of Parliament for Oropuch East. Our hard-working Member of Parliament for Oropuch West, Dr. Devendranath Tanku. Doctor in the house, MP, I'm giving you that. Our hard-working Executive Chairman of the Oropuch East Executive. Put your hands together for Raymond Surajbali. Thank you, thank you. As the South Regional Coordinator, every single UNC chairman have been working together with their executive members and councillors in the area. I want to also acknowledge in the audience here this afternoon our Senator Jayanti Lakshmidiyal. Put your hands together for Jayanti Lakshmidiyal. Not forgetting our councillors who are not going to speak tonight, but is very vibrant. Councillor Kimati Chulhan, Alderman Marsha Jaimangal Khan, and I think that's it there? Nice. So we go again. Fellow colleagues on the platform this evening, and to you, the people gathered here and those looking on via our live stream, I say special good evening. This evening it gives me the greatest privilege to stand before you, arm in arm with my UNC comrades as we gear up for the battle. I have the honor of serving as the South Regional Coordinator of our great party, and I want to tell you that we have been active and on the move, regardless of what others are saying. We are working. We have held peaceful demonstration. You would have noticed all UNC representatives together with the MPs stood their ground and stood tall with their constituents and burgesses. You have listened to my fellow colleagues before. The water crisis in the Penal Debe region and the South region. Rain is falling outside, and how many of you have water in your taps? You understand what is happening? Water everywhere, Dr. Munilal, but not in the people pipe. Shame. Shame on this government. 3 weeks and a month, Penal Queenam, no water. Penal Rock Road, no water. Lachus Road, no water. Clark Road, no water. The whole of the South region, what is happening? What is happening in this area? enough is enough. Landslip, you will have heard it, landslips everywhere and worsening road condition. Incomplete schools, you heard from Alderman Avinash. What about the Debe campus? What is happening with the Debe campus right now? What is happening there? The penal RC Roman Catholic school, they will not build the school for the primary school children. They will not do anything in the south. Why is this so? Why? You have heard the Shiva boys, Hindu college, the Parvati girls in bush right now. Goat and sheep and dog and whatever it is, animal, there right now, except the school children in the school. Why? Crime, you have heard from Councillor Gerard, spoke about crime in the area. Christmas is upon us. What is their plan for the crime situation, the businessmen, the people who are going to do shopping and all that? What plans have they have? Sleeping Hine, still sleeping in Parliament, MP Munilal. Here, wake up yet. Konkaran, yes. Flooding in the south region. Where is Minister Rohan Sinanan? Where are the excavators? All these things, we as council members, executive members, we went in front of Parliament. We protested. They does not take us on at all. Protested this government is deaf ear. MP Tanku, they don't listen to the people. The rise in fuel prices, everything going up. What about food prices also? What about electricity? When electricity raised, everything else raised. Everything, every single thing. We stood with our political leader, demonstrated peacefully, locally, and in front of Parliament where needed. We will continue the fight. Yes. And we will continue to stand with you and fight for you. Daily we see the geographic discrimination, whether it is along the Naparima Mayaro Road, the San Francisco Main Road, the incomplete highway section from David to Pinal. If there is any disturbance to the water supply network in the part of this island, Pinal Debe is affected. Every time it have a desal plant shut down, Pinal Debe in problem. Every single time. Notice the trend, notice what is happening with this government. This is either poor management or pure victimization. Many of us here tonight campaign in our own electoral districts and still made the time to go into the battleground of the San Fernando City Corporation and help our great party bring home 2 critical seats, Marabella South, Vistabella, and Marabella West. And those councillors are doing a fantastic job in San Fernando City Corporation. However, we find ourselves as a responsible political organization with the democracy of our nation at heart before the courts with an election petition to determine the outcome of the Lengua Indian Walk electoral district in the Princeton Regional Corporation. Every election, there are irregularities which our agents and legal representatives must challenge. We must give commendation to our political leader, Mrs. Kamala Prasad Bisester, SC, former Attorney General Anand Ramlogan, SC, Senator Jayanti Lachmidial, MP Saddam Hussein, and others for always standing on the right side of justice, not forgetting our own member here, MP Munilal and MP Dave Tanku. Brothers and sisters, the UNC is committed to supporting every creed and race in preserving their heritage and traditions, for it is the foundation of our growth and development as a nation. All our UNC representatives have proudly been a part of all religious activities, our youth arm, our women's arm, our constituency executive. We have held spiritual Shouter Baptist Day in Mont Diablo, Ganesh Utsav celebration and Navratri celebration throughout the regions, Ramlila in Rochard Road and Lower Barco and Princestown, Eid and Diwali celebration, Easter and Christmas, celebrating our women's achievement in Esperance Village, Councillor Mohini, on International Women's Day, acknowledging our women, It is a beautiful thing to see when our communities come to life in harmony to celebrate. This is the pulse of our people, the pulse of our nation, as our political leader has recently reminded us. I take this opportunity to remind all our UNC brothers and sisters and our comrades and foot soldiers that a general election is due in 24 months or less. We have the responsibility to rally behind our political leader to secure victory. The United National Congress is one party, and I must remind you, one party, and we have one leader. And there is no vacancy for leadership at this moment. However, there is vacancy for a prime minister. That is people-centered, people-focused, and people-driven. And that is Honorable Kamala Prasad Bisesa. So we are sounding the alarm. PNM, your time is up. You are a minority government and a constitutional crisis wreaking havoc in the lives of law-abiding citizens. Tonight, I urge each and every one of you to stand up, stand together, stand your ground. We can only win united. We will topple the PNM and restore good governance to Trinidad and Tobago. God bless our party, God bless our leader, and God bless the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you.
We are the United National Congress, and we are here tonight on the pavement. It gives me great pleasure to bring to the podium to address us our Vice Chairman. He is serving currently as the Chairman of Finance at the Pinal Debe region, a community activist. Let us make welcome tonight to the Pavement Report, Alderman Gautam Maharaj.
Good night, all protocol observed. Members before have recognized the members of parliament here, Dr. Munilal, Member of Parliament Devendranath Tanku, MP Ratiram, Senator Lakshmi Dayal, other members of the executive, and our honorable political leader, the Honorable Kamala Prasad Bisesa. If you look behind me, you will see someone attempted to start some of the achievements that the United National Congress has achieved in the past. And I say some because if whoever started this is to complete it, it will run to the length and breadth of Pinal Debe and maybe the length and breadth of Trinidad and Tobago, because 106 schools built, the length and breadth of Trinidad and Tobago fixed with box trains, roads, a university built in South, a highway extended to Point 14, hospitals built, so much that the current government cannot cope with even opening or commissioning some of these. The Cuba Hospital remains unutilized. The South University remains closed. The number of schools in the region, some of the members mentioned it before. Shiva Boys, I saw today large trees, Rakando trees growing in what could be an institution that could educate and bring forward our future. So sad, so sad, so sad. And it is a reality that we experience these lower taxes, jobs. I see 50,000 jobs here would have been created. In fact, the PNM took away 50,000 jobs. The statistics show, and I remember MP Tanku pointing it out to me at some point, near 100,000 jobs went below, went under from what it was. Petrotrin, one of the largest employers in this region, was shut down without logic, without reason. Today we are buying fuel. You have an entity that produces your fuel. You have a milking cow. You will sell it and start to now buy fuel. Well, why I make that point, that is the reason why we are paying the high fuel prices. Because the government made the biggest blunder in the industry in Trinidad and Tobago. Maybe the biggest industrial blunder in the Western world to shut down a producing refinery. And I see in the back some of the comrades from the Oilfield Workers Trade Union are here, and they will know that they have fought long and hard that Petrotrin should not be shut down. Why do I make reference to Petrotrin? Because the roads that we drive in, I am sure when you get up in the morning, you pray, you have a cup of tea or your breakfast, and the next thing that really antagonizes you and get you vexed is when you start your vehicle, the road that you have to drive on. It is deplorable. And the part is not just as deplorable. We had deplorable roads in the past. No attention, no care, no financial allocation. And I will prove it. I'm speaking with the statistics. Under the drainage, let me deal with local roads first. Under local roads in the region, in the Pinal-Debe region, we applied for $26 million. So I would like the citizens and the burgesses to understand that we are doing our work. But the next part of it is we got $6 million allocation via the budget by the central government. 6 million out of 26 million. And 26 million came about when we applied for it because of the engineers going out and doing their work and doing their studies and realizing that this is the figure that is necessary to fix our roads. And the central government, through the Minister of Finance, through the budget, has allocated 6 million. This is why the condition of bad roads will continue. Yeah. It will continue. There is no hope that it will be resolved. I draw the nexus with the Petrotrin closure because bitumen was produced by Petrotrin and given to the contractors and to the state, the Ministry of Works, at a very minimal cost. But today now we must import bitumen. And this is one of the major reasons why the government is unable to continue to repair roads. I remember, and you will remember, when the Kamla-led government started with a premise, and I remember the premise clearly. It was said that for increased productivity, you must have connectivity via roads. And we saw the fruits of that because Barakpur was connected to Debe via Sadhu Village and Lawrence Hill, and all of the roads were paved. And if you drive through Debe and Barakpur, Lower Barakpur, and the Valley Line, you would see the upsurge in business and in small and medium enterprise business especially, meaning that people are able to set up a parlor, set up a tire shop, send their children to school, buy food, and be able to have local economic development and commerce at the local level. That is missing today totally. So our people are in hardship. Everywhere you go is hardship. People were unable to buy, people were buying one slice of pepper roti in the Nagar and cutting it up in 2 and 3 pieces. Yeah, I sold pepper roti at the Nagar. I'm giving you statistics. Yeah. Let's continue with the statistics. Desilting of watercourses, a major crisis in Pinal-Debe and a major crisis in other areas also. The Sipari Regional Corporation will face the same thing in the low-lying areas. And desilting and watercourses. Anybody make a guess here what was allocated? Anybody could make a guess? Zero. That is somebody who probably knows. Zero. Would you believe that? I would not have believed that if I did not see it. You can check it yourself. It is in the budget. Zero for desilting of watercourses. Stabilization and land slips. And one of the previous members read the list of land slips, starting from Sukan Trace on the Moruga boundary, coming all the way through Sanahi and on the Debe West and in Pinal. Land slips, stabilization of land slips. Make a guess again. You could win something. Zero. Somebody in the crowd who doesn't have the information that the councillors may have. Zero, a big fat zero. The Minister of Finance has no shame in allocating $0 for stabilization of landscapes in this region. Shameful. Recreation grounds. The chairman of sports spoke of recreation grounds. We got $1 million for all of the recreation grounds. $1 million to split up and share, repair and fix toilet facilities, outfield, everything, drainage around. I see the president of Clark Rochard is here. I'm glad, and you take back the news to the people. $1 million to be distributed. Is this government serious about people development or about people on the whole? No. But the people have recognized that. Let me tell you a little secret. I hear Councillor Shanti spoke of general election. Just like the people came out and run them out of Marbella West and run them out of Tobago, they will run them out for the general election. Don't throw away your jersey. You remember the phrase? Don't throw away your jersey. Keep your jersey. Because I see the timer. Yeah. So we are in a crisis. You must understand that. You must help us spread the word. We're in a crisis. Agriculture is in a crisis. Pridia Lassani. 2 people have been assigned to Pridia Lassani for the whole of South. The Cregnish office has been moved to Central. They have moved them back, but without vehicle, with a number of issues the officers have not being attended. And Pridia Lassani is a major backbreaker for farmers in this region. There are many other things I can share with you. Water trucking. There are 5 WASA trucks in this entire region. 5 to service all of this area. I must continue the questioning that Councillor for Palmis asked. I must ask the Minister of Public Utilities to come out and say if at all there is adequate water in terms of capacity to supply South Trinidad. He must come out and answer this question if there is. And you know what is hurtful? And I have 1 minute more, but I must say this. They have promised to drill 2 wells in Clark Road. And listen to this very carefully, in the Satnarayan-Naipalia area. But the water from there will not benefit the people of Satnarayan and Clark Road. The water will be transferred out of there to serve other areas. What a shame. I think my time has come to an end. So I hope that you carry the message and you understand that it is with this PLM government, it's hardship, hardship, hardship.
Brothers and sisters, let's hear it once again for an energetic, well-informed presentation by the Vice Chairman of the Penal Levy Regional Corporation. Yes, the Pepperoti man, Alderman Gautam Maharaj. Our next speaker, brothers and sisters, is a foundation member of our great party, the United National Congress. He has been and continues to be a champion against crime, corruption, and geographic discrimination by this wicked PNM government. He's an attorney at law. He's an economist. He is the chairman of the Public Accounts Committee of the Parliament and the Opposition Shadow Minister of Finance. He's the chairman of the United National Congress and the Firebrand Member of Parliament for Oropouche West. He's a man of the people and for the people. Let us welcome your son of the soil, the very distinguished Honorable Member of Parliament for Oropouche West, Mr. Devendranath Tamso.
Pinaldiri, good night. Political leader of the United National Congress, deputy political leader, my colleague, member for Oropouche East, Dr. Rudolph Munilal, my other colleague from Cuba who has joined us here tonight, MP Ravi Ratiram, Senator Jayanti Lashmilial, members of council, members of the executives, members of the national executives. Again, I wish you a good night. Now, I usually speak on finance issues. I usually speak about the economy. And I know that the economy is not a sexy conversation. It's not something that people like to listen to because it tends to be relatively boring. However, the economy affects every aspect of your life.
Yes.
If the economy is doing well, then we all do well. There's employment. There's improvement in the quality and standards of living. There's a reduction in poverty. There's growth. There's development if the economy is going well. So that is why concepts like the GDP, that's the gross domestic product, that is the value of the output that is produced in a country. Concept like the inflation, which is the increase in prices. Concept like deficit, where we have government revenue compared to government expenditure. And debt, DEBT. I know DEAT, which is a really critical issue right now in Trinidad and Tobago, in which we are overrun by that too, in which we are overrun by crime. But these are very critical issues. These are issues that affect us directly. And even though they may sound complex, they're issues that we need to understand. So tonight I wanted to address one of those issues, debt, DEBT. Would you believe that it took 53 years from 1962 to 2015 for our national debt to get to $84 billion? 53 years. From 2015 to current, would you believe that it has gone up by 30%? Our national debt now is the highest it has ever been at $110 billion. Wow. Now, that means that we owe as a people, as a country, we owe to financial institutions throughout the world, local and foreign, we owe as a people $110 billion. We will never be able to see anything close to that in our lifetimes. But this PNM government, that is where they have taken us, into the valley of debt. In more ways than one, into the value of criminal murder rate debt and into the value of financial debt. Now, by itself, borrowing is not bad. Many of us in our lives will have had to borrow money, maybe to buy a car or to buy a house, to send your children to school. We may have taken loans for those purposes. So borrowing money in itself is not a bad thing. It is what you do with the money. That is what makes the difference in whether or not we move forward or we move backward. And what do you think we have been doing with the PNM borrowing? How much is it? $26 billion more. What do you think we have been doing? We have been financing government corruption, mismanagement, wastage. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to give you one example. You know, 3 years ago, the government closed its eyes to $400 million spent by the National Gas Company of Trinidad and Tobago. $400 million was spent on two projects that has no value now. The projects were cancelled. $400 million taken and a decision taken despite advice to the board of directors of the NGC. Despite advice not to proceed with those two projects, $400 million was spent. Somebody pocket big because they collected $400 million with nothing to show for it. And nobody was held accountable up to today. Nobody was held accountable, and the persons who were responsible for that are still being paid hundreds of thousands of dollars a month in salaries to those very same individuals. So we pay them to dig out we eye, to put us into debt, and we are still paying them for that luxury. Do you think that's right? No. Somebody needs to be held accountable every time this government spends money and throw it away. But the point I was making is what you do with the money you borrow, that is what determines whether we grow or we fall. So you cannot borrow money to fet and party and not have any idea of how you're paying it back. Understand? If you borrow money to buy a car and you have no idea of how you're going to pay that back, what do you think was going to happen? The bank will come and take your car. So when you have the government borrowing billions of dollars year in, year out, with nothing to show for it, what do you think is going to happen to the assets that you own as taxpayers? The lenders will hold sway on those. That's the collateral on which the government is borrowing money. The government of Trinidad and Tobago is borrowing money on the assets owned by Trinidad and Tobago, the very same NGC, other financial assets. And when the time comes and those lenders come for their pound of flesh, we are in crisis. You know why, ladies and gentlemen? Because this government simply does not know what it's doing. We are managed by an engineer pretending to be a finance person, Mr. Colm Imbert. Now, what do you think a government is supposed to do when it borrows money? A government is supposed to create new industries, improve conditions for investment, and thereby create jobs, widening the tax base. These taxes will then be used to pave roads, to provide food and support, social support, education, healthcare, scholarships, so we can continue to develop. But that is not what this government has been doing. You know what this government has been doing? In theory, there are several options that should be doing, the government should be doing when you're looking to promote development. Several options. None of those I just described are being done. Instead, there are several options of things that the government should not be doing. And this government is doing all of them. Let me give you an example. Instead of improving conditions for generating business, this government has been reducing social spending. That is why we have the worst roads, as my brother just mentioned. We have the worst roads. We have collapsing schools. We have healthcare in crisis, so that we have persons waiting years for what they call emergency surgery in Trinidad and Tobago in the year 2023. The other option is to sell off state assets, and they are doing that. More to come. More to come. They are selling off state assets. They will remove the subsidies on fuel and other supports. They're doing that. And they will keep borrowing, digging ourselves deeper into this hole, this debt crisis. And worse than that, they're going to come with taxes. So let's deal with some of those things. In fact, in the interest of time, let's just deal with one of those things, the taxes. I want to deal with something that was just mentioned before, the property tax. This I call the Colm scam. The property taxes of Trinidad and Tobago is premised on what they estimate to be a rental value. So your house, wherever it is, whether you are renting it out or not, they determine, and they could raise it or reduce it depending on how much money they want to collect. They determine how much your house is worth if you were renting it. It's an annual rental value. And then they tax you based on an annual rental value. Here's how that taxation is rubbish. Here's how the methodology of coming up with that is rubbish. If you have two houses side by side, one rented out, the exact same house, a 2-bedroom house with one toilet and bath, living room, kitchen, dining room, and a porch. Two houses exactly next to each other, side by side. Your home, you living in that. And another home owned by somebody else that is rented out. Your home is not earning an income. The other person's home is. Would you believe that both homes have the same tax liability? How is that logical and equitable? It is not. Ask yourself why the government is seeking to tax you on imaginary money that you are not generating. That is like saying that, because I have a car in my yard, they should tax me as if I'm working taxi with that car. Because you have a kitchen in your house, they should tax you as if you're operating a restaurant from your home. It is imaginary money that they're taxing you on. I have a leak in my home, a water leak in my backyard. And I'm frightened from the tank to the home. And I'm frightened to fix that. I'm frightened to paint over my home. I'm frightened to fix a leak in the roof, because once I do that, my annual rental value calculated by Colm Imbert goes up. But my brother from Palm Beach raised it earlier. Commercial buildings, up to today, they're not worried with them, They're not studying commercial buildings, you know why? Because that's their people. They can't touch that. Business class will kill them. So they pressure people who have sacrificed all their lives to build what they have and victimize and discriminate against those people. Ladies and gentlemen, that is unacceptable. You think Faris, my brother, you think Faris going to pay property tax like that? No. That's for you and I. That's not for them fellas. You know, as I'm talking about Faris, I learned a little something today. You can't make this thing up. Trinidad and Tobago really is not a real place. Faris Al-Rawi, you remember the Emailgate crisis? We're talking about imaginary money. Well, then there was an imaginary set of emails. And Faris Al-Rawi came up and told Trinidad and Tobago, it's not whether the emails are real or not, you know. It's whether or not, you know, the contents may have some kind of value. Faris Al-Rawi, on the basis of lying, qualified to become an Attorney General of Trinidad and Tobago. Another one lied not just in Trinidad and Tobago. He lied in the States. He lied in court. And he became the Attorney General, replacing Faris Al-Rawi. Today I read, you can't make this up. Today in the newspapers, I read that a third person is acting as Attorney General. A man who just 2 or 3 days ago found himself lying in the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago, and he becomes Attorney General. It seems that the only way to become Attorney General, to get promotion in this government under the PNM, is to lie. And that is because they are ruled and managed by the biggest liar of them all, the king of Emailgate. What a shame, ladies and gentlemen. What a shame. I also saw another article today, and I want to touch on this other issue. I want to also touch on another article today. In today's Express, ladies and gentlemen, I saw an article where the Minister Gonzalez met with the new CEO of TSTT. And the minister, the headline reads, amazingly enough, a man who lied. The headline reads, Gonzalez urges TSTT to be truthful to the population. You think this, I'm not making this up. I'm not making, them fellas lying through their teeth and close their eyes and think you can't see. You know, they have a story about the ostrich burying its head in the sand because they think that when they can't see you, you can't see them. Everybody make it out already. It's lie. And it is who could lie more than the other one. And let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. They have a real lying contest going on in this government. I think my colleague, MP Munilal, will be dealing with a little bit more with regards to TSTT. So I want to touch only on a couple of other issues with regards to TSTT. On the basis of public utterances, we are told that Lisa Agard has been terminated from the position of CEO of TSTT. Today, the minister's conversation with TSTT tried to give the impression that that's done. Everything is good. Somebody has become the fall guy or the fall girl. But that is not enough. That can't be done. Do you all know, ladies and gentlemen, that there's a fella who's earning a salary, God knows how much it is. I am told that we raised the issue in Parliament that it was over $75,000 a month, and we have not had a clarification with regards to whether that figure is true or not. But we have a fella who is a senior manager, environment, social, and reputation management. That is what he heads, environment, social, and reputation at TSTT. You think I'm making this up? That fella is Kamal Georges. Just recently brought in at exorbitant cost. He is in charge of the reputation of TSTT. TSTT is on the block right now. Shame eat, what do they say, dog eat their shame? Dog eat their shame. Dog eat their shame. And this gentleman, up to today, 1 month and a week after this crisis has taken place, after the fiasco where they said nothing wrong, after all of that, this gentleman is completely silent. I want to know what we paying them fellas money for. so they can live high off the hog? What are we paying them for? My colleagues asked for the board of directors of TSCT to be removed. Ladies and gentlemen, I have a bit of information I want to share with you. More to come. So there is a member of the board of directors, ladies and gentlemen, of TSTT, who is both a service provider and a member of the board of directors. That is a conflict of interest. That is a conflict of interest. I will say more at the appropriate time. I want to give them the opportunity. For shame to take them, so that they will resign now before Mark bust and shame take them out. My last point before I close, ladies and gentlemen. I am a great fan of female leaders, female political leaders. We have had exceptional ones in the Caribbean. We've had Kamala Persad-Bissessar, the best prime minister this country has ever seen. And we have one more, Mia Mottley. I want to highlight Mia Mottley in Barbados for a particular reason. And you can figure it out when I'm done. M-I-A, Mia. It also refers to missing in action. In Trinidad, we may not have another Mia Mottley, but we have plenty Mias. Kamal Georges, M-I-A. The Minister of Digitization, M-I-A. The Minister of Works and Transport, M-I-A. The Minister of Public Utilities, the most shameless man in this country right now, M-I-A. The Attorney General, M-I-A. The Ministers of Education, M-I-A. The Minister of Digitization, M-I-A. The shameless, who should be shameful, but the shameless Prime Minister of this country, M-I-A. Ladies and gentlemen, it have more Mia in this country than in Barbados, Grenada, Jamaica, St. Lucia, Guyana, all of Trinidad and Tobago, all of the Caribbean, ladies and gentlemen. There are more Mias in this country than anywhere else in the Caribbean. And you know why that is important? You know why that is important? Because when you ask the Minister of National Security, what is his job? You know what he says? My job is not to make you feel safe. When you ask the Minister of Public Utilities, what you all doing with regards to this TSCT scandal? You know what he says? Well, I don't know, I have not seen a resignation on my desk yet. Why are we paying these ministers? Why are we paying these ministers to tell you that, listen, we don't know what's going on? Well, we know that already. We know that they know what's going on. All they're concerned about is collecting their salary, putting it in the bank, and living off the hog, paid for by taxpayers who are suffering day and night with their geographic discrimination. Shameless and shameful. Ironically, those two words are supposed to be opposite, and they both apply to this government of Trinidad and Tobago, the PNM, led by Keith Christopher Rowley. Ladies and gentlemen, I just highlighted the amount of MIAs, the amount of missing in action, persons of Trinidad and Tobago, ministers of this government. I want to close by telling them, stay missing. Wherever you all are, disappear. Do not come back. Let Trinidad and Tobago breathe again. Let us believe again, because like my brothers before, I believe that Trinidad and Tobago are resilient people, and we need a chance to breathe again. We need a chance to grow, ladies and gentlemen. We need the opportunity, and the only way to do that, ladies and gentlemen, is to remove these albatross, these weights off our necks, and let Trinidad and Tobago grow. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you all very much. May God bless us all. Well said. Well said.
I work in every day.
This is the Pavement Report, and we are here in Oropuch East. Dr. the Honorable Rudal Munilal, a former Minister of Government with an impressive educational background, comprising of 4 tertiary level academic degrees. A member of parliament serving since 2001, ladies and gentlemen. He is the current member here serving with distinction the people of Oropouche East for over 22 years of great parliamentary experience. He has emerged, ladies and gentlemen, as one of the region's most competent, most formidable parliamentary debaters. He also serves our great party, the United National Congress, as deputy political leader. Ladies and gentlemen, let us make welcome tonight the distinguished Lion of Oropouche East, Dr. the Honorable Rudolph Munira.
A big thank you to
Ay, ay, ay.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Molly. And thank you for the very energized, warm welcome to the podium. I think I'm well hooked up here. But let me begin by acknowledging, of course, the honorable political leader, the very distinguished Mrs. Kamala Prasad Bisesa, political leader of the United National Congress, leader of the opposition. Parliamentary colleagues in our midst, the Honorable Devendra Tanku, the Honorable Ravi Ratiram is also with us, Senator the Honorable Jayanti Lakshmi Diyal, members of the local government fraternity with us, all the councillors of the Penal Debe Regional Corporation, members of the press, activists, friends. May I welcome you all for the first in a new series and an energized series of the Pavement Report. Can we give a round of applause to our political leader, the Honorable Kamala Prasad Bisesa, for inspiring the return of the Pavement Report that is meant to take the issues to the people in every constituency, in every village, in every city, in every town throughout Trinidad and indeed Tobago, to raise issues concerning the people and to take the fight to the PNM and to Rowley.
Yes.
While we do this, Keith Rowley, Paspatu, Kazem Hussein, I believe, the chairman of Caribbean Airlines, Ronnie Mohammed, several members of the staff of the Office of the Prime Minister, members of the staff of other state enterprises, including the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, are now off. They have jetted off to Saudi Arabia, Dubai, and London, where they will rack up a bill in excess of $3 million Trinidad and Tobago dollars, and they will achieve nothing. They have left the shores when Trinidad and Tobago faces its darkest hour. Keith Rowley has led a delegation to flee this country, a delegation of 15 persons plus that will spend taxpayers' money on food, on drink, on hotel, on traveling, on entertainment, that will bring no benefit to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Indeed, the citizens of this country are living in fear. And not only innocent citizens, but guilty citizens are also living in fear. The most dangerous place to assemble now is in front of a police station. They cannot protect you in front of a police station. Today, there are reports, which we will check, and we believe to be true, that bandits held up a home, a geriatric home.
This is where you put your elderly, you put persons, your loved ones and so on for the care that they need with medication and 24/7, attention and so on. And the bandits went and held them up, took away their valuables, whether it is phone, jewelry, a small amount of cash and so on. This is a country where they stop on the road and hold up a CPEP gang. Now when you hold up a CPEP gang, you're looking for a Nokia phone, you're looking for some petty cash. That is what you're looking for. They held up a buy in Debe. They're looking for the sales of the day. They got $250. The sales of the day. This is Trinidad and Tobago. It is unrecognizable from the paradise that Kamla Prasad Bisesa left in 2015. It is unrecognizable. And today we face several challenges in crime, poverty. Today I got a WhatsApp from constituents and so on, indicating that there are families in our own constituency who cannot put food on the table. Christmas is upon us, all these councillors and MPs and so on. You will be inundated with calls for a food hamper because people want food. They want support. They want you to help a child. They want you to help the child in school, as the case may be. This country is not the country that we knew and that we loved. Today, what do we face? We face a situation where you're not sure when you're going home if you'll arrive safely home. You're not sure you'll leave the house safely. And brothers and sisters, while we say this, Minister Fitzgerald Hines remains in office, as Dave told us, like Kumkaran, sleeping away for years, sleep away. And when he awake, he says something stupid and then he sleep away again. That is where we are. Keith Rowley has gone. He will not be back in this country, I believe, for about 3 weeks. There's a prime minister who has left this country for 3 weeks not to return. Now, when he's ready to return, we're not sure he could find Trinidad to come back. But they will go, they will enjoy taxpayers' money. Nothing will happen. And nothing will change as a result of those trips. I ask, and we will file the relevant questions in the Parliament. Stuart Young, as Minister in the Ministry of the Attorney General, he was that before. He was Minister of National Security. He was that before. He's now Minister of Energy. And he has always been something called Minister in the Office of the Prime Minister. I don't think there's any place on earth this fella has not gone. I don't think so. He has traveled. Somebody that shouted out the only place he ain't gone is jail. What my mother used to say is, what I meet you. So, brothers and sisters, he has gone everywhere in the world. Everywhere, traveled. What has come out of all these trips? Absolutely nothing. Not a job, no investment, no development, nothing. Man, they couldn't even get job for people to pick apple in Canada. At least in the 70s and so on, we used to get job for locals to go to Canada and pick apple and so on. Nothing has happened from all this travel. And they continue to squander. They continue to squander. While this is happening, the murder rate today, I'm told today, is 506. 506. And counting, we're going down to the 31st of December. It may surpass last year. But the murder rate has hit 506. Nobody's saying anything. 2 young boys were killed the other day. We dismiss human life because we say, oh, they may be involved in something bad now. And I come immediately to the point, one of the points I want to make. I heard the Commissioner of Police speaking, and the Commissioner of Police is now saying that, this problem with crime and so on, I think that has to do with parenting. People are bad parents. Now, I want to tell Ms. Erla Christopher, who may well be around my age, who may well be around my age. In fact, believe it or not, I think we went to the same school. But you would not know that unless I tell you. I want to tell her, every generation has challenges with parenting, Dr. Mego. Do you know in the 60s, parents used to look at their young children and say, were you going in that flowery dress with a flower in your head and listening to crazy music and shaking and thing. Do you know in the 70s, parents is a quarrel that the children wearing clothes too short and then the children wearing clothes too long. In the 80s, they quarrel. The fella head, he not cutting his hair, his hair too long. 10 years later, they quarrel and the fella hair too short. Parenting is always a challenge of every generation. Every generation has challenges with parenting. And parents of today will always look at their children and say, you all are not what you should be like we were. But when we were children, our mother and father also complained. Huh? Mother and father also complained. Were you going in white socks? Were you going in that clothes? Parenting is always an ongoing challenge for every generation. And in 2023, in 2033, somebody will say something about parenting again. That is the nature. But you cannot use that with no pun intended, but you cannot use that as a cop-out. Your job as a police commissioner, as a leader of the police service, is to confront criminal enterprise, is to put the policies, the programs, the action, the institutions in place to deal with crime. You can't raise your hand in the air and say, this is a problem with parenting. Every generation has a problem with parenting. This is a problem of policing. This is a problem of law and order. It's a problem of law enforcement. And quite clearly, the commissioner, I think she'll maybe kumkaramnik as well, but she doesn't understand that her challenge is to deal with a problem. It is not to pass it off as parenting. Everybody in every generation since we in establishment has problem with children and parenting and so on. You all know that. Many of you are parents. Many of you are parents. And when your children get big, they will have a complaint about your grandchildren. So we cannot use that as a cop-out. And the commissioner of police must understand that she has a job to do. She has to introduce policies, programs, institutions to deal with that job. And don't use that as a cop-out, as an excuse. Parenting. Yes, parenting always have challenges. It will be like that for the next 100 years. So I begin by telling you that. The other issue I wanted to raise quickly before I get to the TSTT matter is that this matter that people are calling on the political leader about crime talks and so on. The man who have to lead the crime talks, where he gone? He fly off and take off. So who you want Kamala Prasad Bisesa to talk to? A ghost? We want she to talk to an empty chair? There's no crime talks because the leader of the government who is responsible for the crime talks, who must initiate and attend and engage the opposition, he has fled. He has absconded. He has gone. He is now MIA as Tanku told us. Missing in action, not mere motley. And he will not come back for a long time in these parts. By the time he come back, his hair might grow. We will not see him. He has gone. So forget that business. The leader of the opposition has asked serious questions about those crime talk discussions. Who will be included? That the stakeholders must be included. We must discuss not only legislation, which we do all the time, but policies, issues. The political leader of this party has gone every single Monday night for the last I don't know how much years talking about our crime plans, our crime policies, what is our program. There is nobody in this country who understands English and who could read 2 words of English who could believe that the UNC has no crime plan. We have the plan, we have the personnel, we have the policy, we have the program. So this nonsense criminologists talking, you know, these criminologists, fellas, whoever they are, I don't know what is a criminologist, by the way, but whoever them are, they always crop up, you know, and attacking the opposition. You're not serious, you're not doing this. You know, Pandey said years ago, some of them is like rat that's come out of a corner every now and then, you know. I think Pandey had the thing for them, you know. He said them like rat coming out of a corner every now and then running back in a dark corner. Who is this criminologist, huh? They don't have one, all them want to do is attack the opposition. Yeah. The criminal. Why them though? Tell them go and solve crime now, by themselves. You know, talking rubbish all the time in the papers. And somehow the news there and them just find the number. You know, some people I thought dead, somehow they just find the number. I thought people passed away and things and so on. Somehow the news they just find the number and call them for a comment. It's like a fellow in Tobago, a former head of the public service. I think he's the only head of the public service since 1962. Because he alone does comment on everything. Huh? So, brothers and sisters, don't take on these people with the stupidness on crime talks and so on. This evening I want to make a couple points. Yesterday we addressed, and the UNC is on the move. Huh? Yes. I want to tonight compliment the political leader for having our party in a state of readiness, having our party on the move. We are now lifting the tempo. Yesterday press conference, today pavement, Monday come in, Monday night report at Cooper South. We are on the move. This is today. I look at you in this audience and I tell you we had 18 hours to mobilize this wonderful, successful meeting in Arapuchis. This United National Congress today is the most organized, the most mobilized political party in the Caribbean today, the United National Congress. Forget Trinidad, in the Caribbean. No political party in the Caribbean could call a meeting today for tomorrow and have this sellout crowd go live on social media platform and have this dynamic list of speakers addressing you. None in the Caribbean. In the Caribbean. And we are moving. We are moving, brothers and sisters, with a tempo. And we will be exposing the PNM in the hours and the days to come. And we have to keep up that tempo because we are now in a state where they are on the edge of a cliff. Rowley is holding on by his nails on the edge of a cliff. And Kamla Prasad Bisesa has a nail clipper in her purse. So you know what that means? Anytime we are ready, we'll take them down, brothers and sisters. We'll take them out. And today, I want to reiterate some points made yesterday by the very, very honorable, the very intelligent member for Princestown, the Honorable Barry Padarat, who spoke yesterday, our Shadow Minister of Public Utilities. And yesterday, we made some points which I want to reiterate and deepen tonight in our conversation with you. Brothers and sisters, yesterday we expressed concern over the recent cybersecurity breaches. We have highlighted the unsettling lack of clarity surrounding the extent of these breaches. Do you know, brothers and sisters, the amount of state agencies that have been hampered, impaired, affected, hacked in the last couple of years? Let me read for you. We have had data hacking, undermining from the Office of the Attorney General and Legal Affairs, TSTT, PriceSmart, Courts, TT Post, we have confirmed now, Southwest Regional Health Authority. They say somebody in Europe want to know if your father had diabetes and your mother hypertension and blood pressure and thing, and sugar. We have had B-Mobile, this is ongoing, Immigration Department. It is unraveling. Why it is that hackers feel that they can get away with this? Because Trinidad and Tobago has no government. They have no protection. There is no cybersecurity policy or institution in this country today. Brothers and sisters, I want to remind you that this did not start today. Indeed, brothers and sisters, in 2019, there was an article in the newspapers in 2019, it was the 26th of July 2019, which stated that several state enterprises have been hacked and their data stolen. 2019 is an article in the Trinidad and Tobago Guardian, 26th July 2019, that speaks of the Ministry of National Security, that speaks of other National Enterprise Development Company, Telecommunications Authority as well. The point I want to make is that since 2019, this government knew that hacking, data breach was a problem, was a serious problem. They did nothing, absolutely nothing. Today, when it hit the fan, they fired Lisa Agard. I want to ask you something. 4 people dead in a pipeline 2 years ago. Anybody get fired? 4 people died in a pipeline. Not the, well, the report, I don't know where the report is. That in the pipeline too. And 4 people died, but you know nobody was fired. No Newman George or George Newman or whoever. No Chow, Alison Chow or whoever. Nobody was fired. Data breach. Lisa Agard got an instruction from the board of TSTT, led by one Sean Roach, including some Ennis and some Lashley and all the people and so on. Dutton, Howard Dutton and so on. She got a email or a communication saying, do not speak on this matter at all. Do not communicate to the public unless the board approves the communication. They then fire she for not communicating. I hold no breach for Lisa Haggard. I don't know the lady really. But the board of directors must take control and the entire board must be fired. The entire board must be fired. We live in a data-driven world. Today, things like your ID number, your date of birth can reveal a lot about you. Hackers can put together just like a jigsaw puzzle, and all of a sudden they have your identity. Your identity is important because if you lose that identity, it can be used to do other criminal activity. If they lose that, there are organizations in this country, the judiciary, Unicoma, I'm coming to Unicoma in a little while, TSTT, Southwest Regional Health Authority, PriceSmart, have experienced data breaches. The government has taken no steps to protect the public. We need them to inform us, how deep was this breach? How extensive was it? Is it just a website? TSTT has said nothing. They have an international partner called Checkpoint, an American-Israeli company. That company has not, to our knowledge, presented a report on what has happened, and they have paid millions of dollars to protect your data. But they have said nothing. They have said nothing. Unicoma acknowledged and updated its website following a breach. But there are issues to deal with Unicoma, and I will put it to you this way. Unicoma plays a pivotal role in Trinidad and Tobago, not only as a retailer, but as a facilitator of numerous small businesses, aiding the underprivileged middle-income groups. You know, when we think of data breach, right? People think in their mind, this is big-time rich people. That big shot kind of business and thing now. Like people with credit card and wire transfer and banking here and thing. They're in trouble. The ordinary man or woman, he or she has nothing to worry about data breach and thing. But let me get to it. Do you know Unicoma facilitates the purchase of household items? You want a fridge, you want a stove, you want a washing machine, a dryer, or something. You buy on what is called terms. Ain't there? You buy on terms. When you go to buy on terms, you put all your data. What is your name? You work in CPEP? How much money you're getting? Where you living? Where this money going every fortnight or month? You put that in your data. Unicoma handles that data because they are the ones who protect that money that you use, that a lot of businesses use to give this small man a little washing machine, a dryer or something. Now the small man might be buying a washing machine or a sofa, not only for the small man house, but for somebody else's house. Now when you do something like that, all your data, everything on the road now. Everything on the road now. Oh, let's see trouble now? Like when they buy a sofa, you don't know where the sofa going. But when they breach that data, everybody know where stove going, where washing machine going, where sofa going, where dryer going. That is the problem. So that oven cooking a lot. So brothers and sisters, do not feel, the point I'm making is, do not feel that this thing has to do with rich people and big shot people alone who are using, you know, high level Visa credit card, MasterCard and all these kind of things. The ordinary man and woman who buy things on terms, you submit data. And when you submit data, that is stolen. And that can be used by criminals because they will know how much money you have. I told them yesterday, if you are using a security company in your neighborhood for your house or for your community, there is data there and people can find out when you're coming home, when you're leaving in the morning, where you're working. What time you likely to arrive and turn off the what do you call the thing, the alarm? What time you're leaving in the morning to turn on the alarm? Where the alarm's located in your property? And worse, if they monitor your CCTV camera and there's a breach, then criminal enterprise will watch your CCTV camera. And there are people who have CCTV cameras around their yard. Some people even have in their house. So imagine you have a data breach and the criminals can now access the CCTV camera in your home and on your property. So this is not a matter that we must think is a high class matter, is a upper class, is big shot people and big pappy people who are affected. It is the ordinary human being. Because everything today is electronic transaction. This crazy Rowley go on and say, he want this to be a cashless society. Now some people say the society already cashless because nobody has cash. Say cashless already. But do you know, cashless means things are on electronic, meaning you use electronic and seriously, you use the internet. The internet is the backbone of every electronic piece of technology. But the Caribbean, as some of you may know, we are connected by what is called submarine cables. There are still cables in the sea, that's why it's called submarine cable, that connect us. Suppose something go wrong with that, it is affected, it is damaged, it is sabotaged in an attack of some kind. Do you know, if the internet goes down, you cannot pay a bill, you cannot pay a fee, you cannot collect money too, you cannot collect fees for some purposes. The whole society will collapse if those submarine cables are damaged or affected or compromised in some way. But Rowley don't understand that. He say cashless, and poor fella, he say he never use an ATM machine in his life. He never use an ATM machine. So, no, he mean he just move with a bag. You know? He just move and Rohanson and actually have a measurement for a carry box, as opposed to a stack box, you know. So Unicoma will tell us that is the example of how this affects ordinary people. And that is an important point I wanted to tell you. That the public need to comprehend that Unicoma and other groups serves a very important role in this country. Apart from selling furniture and so on, they facilitate a number of transactions. And these transactions supply they have sensitive personal information and data. And that cannot be compromised or in the hands of the criminal class. A data-centric world creates new challenges, right? I'll tell you. Years ago, when you're watching TV, you see people moving with drugs, cross-border drugs, guns, ammunition, regrettably human trafficking, moving human beings. Today, it is data. So we must create institutions and new programs and policies. And yesterday we called for a National Cybersecurity Center to pull all the law enforcement agencies together, personnel, resources, equipment, to deal with this challenge that will be here for a long time to come. This is a challenge that will also face another UNC government. This is not a PNM challenge. This is a challenge that would face us for the next 25, 50, 100 years. So we must not use institutions built in 1962 to deal with a problem in 2023. You have to build new institutions. There are people who are into academic work, who are into industry. They are trained, they are knowledgeable in technology. They have to also give us the benefit of their expertise on how we deal with that. So a National Cybersecurity Agency is a must that we must create to deal with this challenge that we face today. And the government cannot handle data security. They cannot handle cybersecurity capability. They cannot do that. And everything has collapsed around them. This hacking incident where 1.2 million customers of TSTT have lost their data to the criminal enterprise, to international hackers. This the PNM cannot deal with. They cannot, because they are not strong on law enforcement of any kind. So brothers and sisters, these are the issues that we face today. I also wanted to indicate to you, before closing up and so on, that the leadership of our party has been speaking on dealing with crime. We have asked that the government not only meet on crime, but institute new policies and programs. Mrs. Prasad Bisesa have spoken. Have you noticed she has spoken about stand your ground legislation? Yes. And that is something we must introduce, that persons can protect themselves in this time. So we have to ensure that we get the program, the policy, the laws in place to confront the new challenges that we face. You cannot confront it with an old national security institution, old national security minister, old policy. You need new, you need fresh change in order to do that. The other matter I wanted to raise with you before closing, because we are in this constituency. Now, when we were in office, as all of you know, we built a spanking new South Campus of the University of the West Indies. If we throw this bottle from here, we are in the university. What have they done? They kept it closed out of spite, out of malice. The Ramaitres Hindu School, the PTA president is here tonight. Parents are here tonight. They kept it closed for 8 years. Do you know children have graduated from the Ramaitres Hindu School and never went to the Ramaitres Hindu School? They went to a temple in Rock Road where they could not do education in the way that normal children could. And we are very thankful that they had the temple and the Mahasabha facilitate that. But they could not go there with the food they want to eat for lunch. They couldn't go there and be in a school, a real school. Ramaitres in the school, UE South Campus. In Clark Road, Mrs. Prasad Bisesa constructed an educational center in Clark Road. If you go there now, what you see? Bush closed down. So brothers and sisters, we must work hard to ensure that we open the South Campus of the University of the West Indies, the Education Center in Clark Road, and might I say, the Kamla Prasad Bisesa Education Center in Clark Road. She had been the sole inspiration for that. Nobody inspired that as Kamla Prasad Bisesa, but she did in the constituency there. They left it. You know, and when I pass Clark Road, I cry when I see all the bush on that school and so on. It will take more money to rehabilitate that than it took to build it. You know, the PNM, part of their propaganda, I wanted to remind you, you know, part of their propaganda. Nasty. Part of the propaganda, they talk about the OPV. When Kamla came and UNC come, we cancel the OPV. The OPV, offshore patrol vessel and so on, right? Massive, massive ship they wanted to buy. That size of that boat is the size of the Queen's Park Savannah. You could imagine today if they had that boat, what would happen? It would have had Karaili vine growing on that. Chicken and duck would have been hatching there. You could have put goat to graze on the boat. They cannot manage a Coast Guard vessel of 40 feet. They will manage a OPV. They cannot get fuel to put on the 6 Damian vessel that we buy. They will get fuel for the OPV. That would have been abandoned somewhere. They would have opened a museum and have Juve on it or something like that. Do a Juve like they're doing in San Fernando. They would have had Juve celebration on the OPV. That is what would have happened. Thank God the partnership government cancelled that and got $1 billion back of taxpayers' money by the work of Anand Ramlogan and Kamla Prasad Bisesa. And then they come now, they tell us about the Point Fortin Highway. The Point Fortin Highway was supposed to run from San Fernando to Point Fortin. It has no highway from San Fernando to Point Fortin. Huh? I challenge any one of you and those listening. Drive to San Fernando. Continue driving and see if you're going to end up in Point Fortin. You will end up in the Gucharan River right here. You will end up in the river because the highway have 4 missing pieces. They built a highway with 4 missing pieces. Debe, you have to come off Debe and find your way somehow through the M2 Ring Road and so on to Paria Suite to get down there. When you go Paria Suite, it have 3 or 4 places that you come off the highway, go through a village and then you come back. If you are the most diligent, well-known man or woman in South, you will get lost. So forget tourists and so on. They have broken up this highway and they have busted it up like a jigsaw puzzle and 4 pieces missing. And they boasting, you know. They boasting, we build the highway. Build what? There is no highway. Our concept, our vision was when you leave the lighthouse, Rising Road, Portersville, you take one drive without a traffic light and you reach point 14. Today, you have to wiggle and worm and find your way through about 4 missing pieces. I went on the highway one day, they opened it. So I said, well, I have to take a drive. When I go along there, I see Sheila Roti Shop. I see Ja Delicacy. I said, but there's not the highway. They said, no, there's the old main road. You have to come off and then come back on the highway. But they boasting like they do some great thing. That highway is ours. The Point 14 Hospital was built by the People's Partnership Administration. The PNM never built that. They stall it, so they're going to take 2 more years to open it and claim it's their own. And that has been the governance of the PNM. So brothers and sisters, I raise these matters to tell you that you have to be mindful of their propaganda. You know one thing about the PNM, I mean, I don't praise the PNM never in my life, and I will not do it until, I will not do it in my life, and maybe after too, I will still not do it. But they talk about, you know, but you see propaganda, somehow they're good at that. Yeah. Somehow they're good at propaganda. Telling people we cancel the OPV, telling people, I mean, the partnership, the this, the that, with this, with that. Their propaganda is loud. So our truth must be louder. That is the point. Our truth must be louder than their propaganda. I raised a matter the other day, Terrestrial in somewhere in the East-West Corridor, Terrestrial, Aruka, somewhere there. Do you know today I have received confirmation from officers of the Housing Development Corporation, HDC, that indeed several buildings in that housing estate must now be demolished completely. What? They have reached the point now where a report has come in from the structural engineer indicating that what they thought they could have fixed, they cannot fix, and they have to demolish 3 or 4 housing unit buildings, which is really 100 housing units built in Terrestrial by the HDC, has to be demolished because they had no management, because they had corruption, mismanagement, that they could not manage and project manage a small housing estate. I am proud that when we were there, and I served as Minister of Housing, man, we built house in Union Hall, we built house in Princestown, we built house in Shogunas, we built house in East-West Corridor. And here what? Not one house fall down. None fall down. We built 9 police stations, none fall down. We built 2 fire stations, Mayaro Penal, none fall down. We built 7,000 houses. Huh? No, the Penal fire station didn't fall down, Seotiong fall down. We built 7,000 homes, none fall down. We outfit the government campus. You know, nobody says anything that we spent $1 billion outfitting the government campus. We never hear somebody say a drop of water from rain fall on their head. Nothing, you know. They spent $441 million on the Red House. All our parliamentarians had to get up one day and run. We put an umbrella over Rodney Charles' head and move him out because he had a leak on his head. You remember? Yeah. We had to put an umbrella over MP head and run them out from one side of the Red House. $441 million, and it started to leak. When we say what happened, Noel Garcia says, no, that's not the roof, that's the air conditioning system. So you didn't know air conditioning system had to be done properly? You didn't know that? They boasting about every single thing they build. Las Alturas, Terrestrial, Red House, everything collapsed. The United National Congress are the natural builders of Trinidad and Tobago. We have built. Kamla Prasad Bisesa, Jerlene John, myself and others, Suraj Rambachan, Tim Gopi Singh, Fazal Karim, all of these people, they have built. And they will build again. We will build again. So brothers and sisters, as I close up, I ask you to keep strong, keep united. And you know, when I talk about unity, I always talk about unity because people tell me, you know, oh, they're hearing this about the party, they're hearing that about the party. I want to tell you something. The only thing you must hear about this party is that it is united, it is cohesive, it is strong, it is focused. Our leader, Mrs. Kamla Prasad Bisesa, is providing a great vision for us at this time. Great guidance, effective leadership. She will be there on Monday, so I want to tell you and the listening audience throughout Trinidad and Tobago and the world that on Monday night we roll into Couva South at the multipurpose hall, and we will have a battery of speakers, and we will have the political leader, the Honorable Kamala Prasad Bisesa, to address the people of this country on Monday night. We ask all of you throughout the country, not only here, mobilize, organize, get yourself together and come out on Monday. It is not virtual, because I see people asking now if we meet in virtual or not. Listen, everything virtual because everything on social media, but this is live. This is action. This is human being. Come out on Monday night and let us address the people on the critical issues facing Trinidad and Tobago. My brothers and sisters, thank you all. Long live the great people of Oropouche. Long live the great people of Oropouche East. Long live the United National Congress. And surely, as the sun rises in the morning, victory will come to the UNC. Thank you and God bless you all.
Right. Brothers and sisters, as we close tonight, it falls upon us to thank you all for coming out here this afternoon. As MP Monilal would have indicated, with such short notice, we are out here in your numbers. Everybody braved the weather this afternoon and came out here this afternoon. And we listened to the dynamic speakers this afternoon. Our plans when we return to government to develop Trinidad and Tobago. And this signals our return to government. And there are a few reminders for you this afternoon, brothers and sisters. We want to remind you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's youtube.com @UNC official YT. Go on the YouTube channel, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow us on the Facebook, facebook.com/UNC official FB. And there also we want to remind you of the Monday night report this Monday, 20th November at Couva South Multipurpose Hall, with the feature address by the Honorable Kamala Prasad Bisesa. And under the patronage of the political leader, we also want to remind you of the 5K run on Sunday, December 3rd at 4 p.m. It starts at the Chaguanas Borough Corporation, and registration is at the office of the MP for Caroni Central, the Honorable Arnold Ram, or you can call the number 684-0898. That's the number for registration for the 5K again on the 3rd of December at 4 p.m. Thank you, brothers and sisters, for joining us here this afternoon. And as we leave, the MPs who hosted us this afternoon remind you that there's light refreshment being served, and please partake. And we thank you all, brothers and sisters.